Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to my podcast, Spiritual Talk, Christy, Godwin, and Friends. Usually I have someone joining me, but today it's just going to be me and you hanging out. We're going to be talking about unlocking your joy and healing the hidden blocks to your happiness. We're going to be taking this from a multi-dimensional approach, considering several different aspects to unlocking your happiness. Emotional, energetic, and spiritual aspects of our beings all play a part on our path to happiness. We want to take a holistic view that allows us to access and release the hidden causes of our challenges and not just the symptoms. We're going to be talking about transformation today and not just change. So now I mentioned there was a couple of different aspects. There is a healing aspect, there is an energetic aspect, and the spiritual aspect. We're going to start with the emotional aspect. The emotional body, if you look at your aura, there's several layers to it, and the emotional body is where we store our feelings, the past traumas, and just our really unresolved emotional experiences. These emotions affect everything, our thoughts, our beliefs, and our behaviors. When our emotions remain unprocessed or suppressed, they don't just go away. They will show up. They will ooze out in places we don't expect them to. They will show up in our relationships and our self-worth and our ability to really experience happiness. Emotional wounds become these lenses through which we view the world and ourselves. So instead of viewing ourselves in the world through the lens of unconditional love, we have this emotional wound that is really blurring our interpretation of what is going on around us. Healing emotionally means gently turning toward those old wounds. It means allowing yourself to really feel what was once too painful to feel. It also means acknowledging the parts of you that have been hurting, holding on to them, and then releasing that what no longer needs to stay. This could look like a couple of different ways. It could look like inner child work, somatic release, breath work, or even just allowing yourself to cry when you're not someone who's ever been allowed yourself to do that. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about the inner child work, the shadow work. And there is just a warning that I have seen when I'm mentoring people, the people that have come to me for healing. And everyone was jumping on this bandwagon of wanting to do all this shadow work, which is great. But you really want to make sure that as you're doing shadow work and as you're unfolding and processing these emotional traumas, you're giving yourself grace and time to heal in between each step and each release. You don't want to take it too fast and really um, overwhelm your emotional body. So that's just my own little warning. It's just my own personal thing that I have seen. Just make sure that you are taking care of yourself and you're releasing and doing this work with compassion for yourself. Your emotional body is sacred. And when you tend to it, you just make space for joy to rise again. But again, treat yourself with compassion because that was the first thing we're going to talk about is the emotional body. Now, remember, the emotional body is where we store our feelings and past traumas and unresolved emotional experiences. Now, we're going to talk about the energetic body, our energy field, our aura, our chakras, our meridians. They are an invisible life force that animates us. It sustains us. But we forget how real and how sensitive it actually is. Emotional and mental stress can really manifest as energetic blockages. If your field is cluttered with old emotions or trauma or even stagnant energy, you could feel drained, anxious, foggy, or even stuck. Energetic healing helps us to clear these blocks and get your energy flowing again. Always think about the easiest way to explain this, and this is just this one example is, your chakras are right up the center. The main ones that we talk about are right up the center. And if there is a block, the energy doesn't stop, but it's going to go around the block, which really slows down. It makes that flow be sluggish and it can make you feel stuck and anxious and even foggy. Now, energetic healing helps to clear these blocks and you can get energy flowing again. Practices such as Reiki or sound healing, chakra balances, breath work are all beautiful tools for this. I myself do something called trance healing. Now, in I have a group called the Divine Collective, and we do a lot of this work in the Divine Collective. This is a podcast based on a teaching that I will be doing in the Divine Collective on May 24th. If you're hearing this and it's past May 24th and you're still interested in seeing that, you can still join the Divine Collective because everything I do within this group is recorded and then later posted. So if you're interested in that, my website, Christy Godwin Psychic Medium, and you click on Divine Collective. Those are just a few ways to take care of your energetic health. When your energy system is flowing harmoniously, you experience more vitality, clarity, and alignment. You just see things clearer and you feel more like yourself because the energy is no longer weighed down by what you are unconsciously carrying. It's allowing your true self to start shining through. Now, we've talked about, real quick, we've just done a quick overview of emotional healing. Then we did energetic healing. Now we're going to talk about spiritual healing. The spiritual layer is really where we connect to our soul and our higher self and the divine. Our spiritual body is what ties us to our greater purpose, our intuition, and our sense of meaning. And it's where the bigger picture really lies. Spiritual healing is about reconnecting to the inner wisdom. It's remembering who you really are beneath the roles and expectations and the conditioning that has followed you and you've accumulated through your walk on this planet. When you tune in to your spiritual body, it's where you gain insight about certain challenges, what your soul is learning, and how to move through this life with more peace and grace. This can involve meditation, connecting with your spirit guides, journaling from your higher self, exploring your soul path. When you start aligning with your spiritual truth, you start living from joy and not chasing it. Again, it's always a lot of fun to walk this spiritual path with other people. You find a group. I mentioned one that I have, the Divine Collective. We do all of these things within the Divine Collective, but it doesn't have to be with my group. Create your own group or find a group that resonates with you and you can touch. You can start learning. You can touch base with some of these things like meditation and spirit guides and journaling with your higher self. Like I said, all things we do in the Divine Collective, but it doesn't have to be with my group. Just find one that you enjoy, someone that resonates with you. Now we're going to talk a little bit. I told you the three healing components. Now we're going to talk about how to use psychic insights to really tie all that together. Now I'm using the word psychic. I don't want us to get stuck on words. Psychic is intuition. It's when you're sitting in meditation and you get drop-ins. I'm using psychic insight as a term for this just in this podcast because it is a more universal term. I don't want you to get stuck on that word. There are other ways and other words that you can use to talk about the same concept. But when you tap into your connection to the spirit realm, it's like a compass. It helps you navigate the hidden terrain within yourself. It offers a multi-dimensional understanding of your challenges so that you're not just reacting, you're able to respond with deep awareness. Now, in here, I'm using an overall term called psychic insight, just an overall term to describe that. But it's really what we call the language of spirit. When I teach this in some of my classes or within the Divine Collective, I talk about the language of spirit. And there's several ways through our clairs that we communicate with spirit. That's a subject for another podcast. But just know when you are really developing your intuition and your ability to sit with the other side, oh my goodness, the amount of insight you gain, the amount of joy is just beyond. I'm finding problems words to describe it, but it's just a beautiful, beautiful path to be on. Now, here's how it works when we're talking about the psychic insight and how to use it as a compass. Let's talk about some hidden blocks. Sometimes what we're experiencing isn't actually about the situation in front of us. A fear of success might be rooted in a past life. A resistance to love might stem from ancestral trauma. Psychic insight helps you uncover the deeper imprints. Now, again, I'm using this word psychic insight. It's really about all the clairs, how you're communicating with spirit. Now, When you're confused or you're feeling stuck, your ability to communicate with the other side can offer direct guidance from your higher self, from your guides, from your soul. So instead of reacting to that emotional response, which me and a colleague wrote a book on this called Awakening Your Path. I'm about to put it up if y'all see it. And this is all about how to release triggers. It's all about how to um, really get rid of that clouded lens and gain some clarity. Now, whenever you are looking at the steps, looking at the messages coming from the other side, it can help you take the next step. It can help you gain clarity on a situation that you're confused about. Now, whenever you are really communicating with the other side, it doesn't just tell you where the block is, it helps you move it. Because, yes, we want to know where the problem is, but more importantly, we want to move it. Now, whether this is through energy healing, visualization, or intuitive tools, you can shift. It's important to shift that block at its root cause. Now, I know that I mentioned this Awakening Your Path book that my colleague Iris, Libby, and I wrote. And yes, we developed a beautiful process to quickly release these triggers and get to a point of neutrality. But I want you to find something that resonates with you. Iris and I wrote this book in the hopes that everyone would heal and get a clearer look at who they are at a soul level. But more importantly, we want each and every person to find a way that resonates with them to heal. So if it's our book, great. If it's through energy healing, visualization, or intuitive rituals, whatever resonates with you, please find that so you can help get back to who you are at a soul level and start really understanding the drop-ins that are coming from the other side. Whenever you're communicating with the other realms, it helps us zoom out and see these soul lessons from our that are within our struggles. With each struggle we encounter on our life walk on this planet, there is a lesson within it. I know we don't always want to see the lesson, but there is always one there. I always tell my clients that no one gets a free ride. So I know it may look like your neighbor has it easy and everything comes to them easy, but they have their struggles in different areas. And when you recognize these blocks for opportunities for growth, it's easier to meet them with compassion and curiosity and courage. I want to talk a little bit about one of my own stories. There's so many, so many, but I'm going to hone in on just one. Is I couldn't understand why I was shrinking back. Like my business wasn't growing as quickly as I thought it could. Even in my own realms, I'm a very solid psychic medium. Just there's a lot there. It just didn't make sense. I had the tools, I had the support, but it just felt out of sight. That joy of knowing I am exactly where I needed to be just felt out of reach. So now I got to this by using the process that Iris and I wrote about in Awakening Your Path, but there are other ways you can do it through past life regressions, through meditation, tap into the issues at hand. So I discovered mine was from a past life. I discovered that in a past life, my persona out in the public really injured those around me. It caused huge trauma in my family, caused a lot of people having their lives taken. So now I shrink back. I tended to shrink back and stay small to protect those around me. It wasn't just about protecting myself, it was about protecting those around me. Now, once I became aware of that, I could make conscious decisions to choose differently, to release that vow of the energy I held to keep myself small so I could protect those around me. Now, if it's safe, I want you to take a moment. If it's not safe for you to stop if you're driving a car or something listening to this, you can come back to it later. But I want everyone to take a moment to pause and reflect. And I want you to think about what aspect of your happiness feels blocked, what would it feel like to release it today? Think about that. What would it feel like to be able to release that block to your happiness? I want you to be able to journal about it, to speak about it, to feel it in your heart. Now, as you are doing this, I want you to set the intention for joy to come in this sacred space that you are allowing to open. Now, let's get a little bit deeper into understanding these blocks. What are the root causes of these energy blocks? These blocks are energetic imprints that create resistance in the flow of joy, intuition, and well being. And they often originate in the unseen realms like past trauma, unresolved emotion, ancestral lineage, past lives, all kinds of resistances can occur. Think of it as your energy's flowing, everything's going well, and then all of a sudden you have this major block. Now, think about there's a couple of different kinds of blocks. The emotional patterns, these are the habitual ways of reacting that usually formed in childhood. Maybe it was people pleasing. Maybe it was self-doubt or fear of intimacy. These patterns are often born out of past emotional wounds. Now, healing them involves becoming aware of your triggers, offering compassion to your inner child, and learning new emotional responses rooted in truth and not fear. Now, when you're releasing these triggers, there are many ways you can do it. Find something that resonates with yourself. Again, Iris and I wrote a book called Awakening Your Path. It's going to be on screen, and it is a fabulous way, quick 10 questions to releasing triggers. But again, Iris and I wrote this book not so you would just resonate with our book. Yes, we hope it offers you a healing, but please find something that resonates with you because our overall passion and joy was to really help each and every person heal. So find a way that works for you to release your triggers. I know there are people who do EMDR, past life regressions can help, journaling can help. Those are all ways you can help release those emotional patterns. Now let's talk about limiting beliefs. Those are those deeply held thoughts like, I'm not good enough, or success isn't safe. That was mine. Success isn't safe. And those can come from early life, cultural conditioning, traumatic experiences. Mine came from past lives. Healing really begins with belief and actively reprogramming that inaccurate belief that you had. You can use affirmations, you can use talk therapy, EFT, journaling. Um, you can use a ton of ways. Just please find something that resonates with you and know that it's not you. This is an unconscious energy at work in your life. Now let's talk about ancestral and past life influences. Some of what we carry may not even be yours. You're carrying this big load, this big sack, and it's not even yours. It's not even yours to carry. You could be holding patterns of fear, scarcity, or shame passed down through generations, or even from past lives. Healing might involve ancestral rituals, guided past life regressions, working with a practitioner to release inherited energy. When you clear the layers, you're not just healing yourself, you're healing the entire lineage. These blocks are very subtle, but they're very persistent. And they distort how we see ourselves and what we believe is possible. And once we believe that we're not capable of something, then we're not. Once that belief is held within us at an unconscious level, then we're not capable. But once you become aware of them, you can start really clearing them. Whenever you are clearing them, with each layer you clear, you begin to get more and more awareness of the energies at work around you. As you become more aware of these energies at work around you, the synchronicities dropping in from spirit, this intuitive awareness, it is like a bridge between your conscious mind and your soul level truth. It's the practice of tuning in to subtle messages through clairvoyance, claircognizance, energy scanning, intuitive knowing. Now, some of the clairs I just mentioned is what I personally call in the language of spirit. That's all my own term, but just know when I say the language of spirit, I am talking about clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairaudience, clairsentience. That's the way that spirit will get to us. But you don't need to know the names to receive the communication. Just be aware of energies being active in your body. These energies can bring clarity. You begin to understand why you're feeling um, and where you're feeling it. You can get validation of, I had always felt that way, or I always thought that was going to happen, or I knew that wasn't me. I knew that was something else. Just know that you're not broke. You are absolutely not broken. You are awakening to your soul's truth. You access insights that move energy at the soul level. This is this is about healing. This is about healing yourself on all levels. And once you start working with healing those triggers and those energetic vibrations, you just start peeling back the layers and you start feeling more joy. And it allows the flow of the universe to happen within you. We're going to take a moment, and again, only do this if it is comfortable for you, if it is safe. I want you to close your eyes just for a moment. I want you to breathe deeply and picture roots growing from the soles of your feet, grounding you into Mother Earth. I thank Mother Earth for supporting us in this moment. I want you to feel that support beneath you. As you're starting to feel supported and grounded into this moment, knowing that you are exactly where you need to be, I want you to then begin to feel the spaciousness above you. Just let your energy settle, align, and center. Okay. Thank you for taking a moment to just settle in to this teaching and settle into this awareness. Now we're going to talk about some common blocks to happiness and how you can heal them. Some of the common blocks can be unresolved grief and heartache, and this often lives in the heart chakra. There are many ways you can use this. You can use mediumship, heart-centered energy healing, or visualization. You can visualize a very warm golden light filling your heart and let it soften and dissolve anything heavy there. Since it's your heart chakra and it's associated with green, you can spin that area green and allow it to spin out all that stuck heartache. So that's unresolved grief and heartache. Now let's talk a little bit about inherited beliefs and ancestral patterns. These are often passed down unconsciously through a family line. You can use guided meditations. You can use past life regression work. There are several. You can use journaling. The using a classic trigger release system. Like I said, Iris and I developed one, and it's in the path away. It's in the book Awakening Your Path. But if there is another one that resonates with you, please use it. We're going to practice this real quick. I want you to visualize your family tree. Just imagine you in the center and this family tree surrounding you, all of your loved ones, whether you are talking to them right now or not, just envision them and offer love and forgiveness and compassion to your ancestors and to yourself. And you just keep sending that love until you feel that stuck energy release. Now we're going to talk on about something that I hold dear and dear to my walk is the fear of visibility or success. This is often tied to past life trauma, fear of being seen, punished, or judged. There are so many people walking this planet right now who were in past lives punished and even their lives taken for their belief system. And again, you can use I myself offer on my website trans healing, but you can use any kind of energy healing, Reiki, my trans healing, past life regressions, intention setting. Those are just some of the many ways that you can use to really clear that past life trauma. Now, if you're interested in delving into this deeper, again, I will be offering this workshop on the 24th of this month, and the Divine Collective within it's on my website, Christy Godwin Psychic Medium. You click on Divine Collective, and we're going to be stepping into these a little bit deeper when we do the workshop that night. If you miss it and you're still interested in it, all the workshops, all the teachings, readings, everything on the Divine Collective are recorded and posted within that group. Now, let's talk about some daily tools. Now, we talked about just then like some bigger tools you can use to help move the energy and unstick it, but let's talk about things that you can do every single day that doesn't take very long, that's so important to put into your daily hygiene practice. And yes, I said daily hygiene practice, just like brushing your teeth, combing your hair, washing your face. You need to take care of your energetic body. Journaling, it's so important to track your insights. The more that you can track how often your insights were correct, the more you can start trusting that. You can write down your insights, your dreams, your messages. You can start tracking when you realize Spirit is giving you certain symbols or sounds to cue you in to a message coming in. So make sure that it's so important to keep track of that, because the more you can show yourself that you are intuitive, you are able to read these other energies, it will help you trust them, and it will really release a lot of those blocks and release a lot of the fear that you walk in on this planet. Now, let's talk about energy clearing. It's important to clear our energy around us. You can use just an intention of sitting in meditation and sending white light through your house or your place of work, wherever you feel like you are having problems with that. You can use sage, sound bowls, whatever resonates with you. Just set and make sure you're using that on a regular basis. Affirmations, I love affirmations, especially if you tend to get negative thought circles going in your head. I know sometimes my mind will get a mind of its own and take it off in a direction I really don't want it to go in. So I've noticed if I get negative thought circles going, you can develop an affirmation, because if you're saying an affirmation, it's hard for the thought circles to take hold. Now, on those particularly strong thought circles, if you're having a hard time releasing, I would, yes, absolutely do trigger work, absolutely use the ways to release triggers that we talked about earlier in this podcast. But a quick way is, again, Iris and I wrote about one in our book, Awakening Your Path. It's just 10 quick steps, or you can do an affirmation. It's hard if you're repeating an affirmation out loud for a thought circle to take effect. It could be anything, like, I am aligned with joy. I am aligned with joy. I am aligned. If you repeat it over and over, then you're not hearing the other voices that are telling you that you should be unhappy, you should feel guilty over something you've done. If you can't even muster that, just say, I am, because you are. You are an amazing human on this planet right now, and we need you walking in your authentic self. Now, I want you to think back over this quick podcast that we just talked about. You are exactly where you were supposed to be. Release some of those beliefs that you have, release them. We need you vibrating at your authentic level. We need that book you haven't written, we need it on this planet right now. That picture you want to paint, we need that on this planet right now. That hike you want to take, we need you taking it. Now, why? Why does the collective need you doing that? Because if you're being called to do something, it's going to release a block in your life, and it's going to put you on the path of more joy. As you find more joy, it becomes a butterfly effect and starts rippling out to those around you. I want to thank everyone for being here. I hope this podcast has given you something to think about, a way to start finding your own inner joy. If you feel so inclined, I would love to see you join the Divine Collective. We work on a lot of these techniques within that. You can find it on Christy Godwin Psychic Medium website and then click on Divine Collective. We are doing this workshop that I just talked about in this podcast that day in that Divine Collective on June 24th. If you miss it, no worries. All of our teachings are always recorded. Please reach out if you have any questions. My email address is christygodwin111@gmail.com, or you can just go to my website, Christy Godwin Psychic Medium, and click on Contact Christy. I would love to hear from you, and I hope everyone has a blessed day.